Trapmore gang, it has been an interesting few days, an interesting few weeks with the endless battle between the Titans, Drizzy Drake and Kanye West. Certified Lover Boy and Donda, the two albums faced off, and I felt like I went in a time machine back to when 50 Cent and Kanye West were beefing over the top sales of their two albums. What was it, Graduation and Curtis? But this time, the stakes were much higher. Kanye put his album Donda up against the greatest rapper living at the moment, Drizzy Drake, and his Certified Lover Boy project, and we saw pot shots flying between these two like we had never seen before. It was crazy. But weirdly, it was after both albums had released and this beef really should have just subsided that one of the craziest details came out of this beef, because it turns out, right, I never thought I would say this, but it turns out that Kanye West is on some gang shit, people, okay? Apparently, he's GD'd up. Kanye West is from 63rd, basically. If King Von was still alive, God forbid what he would be doing to Kanye, he would have pulled up to the Benz Arena, letting off shots like goddamn Wayne's Story. But really though, what happened is that after the release of Drake's Certified Lover Boy album, all of the little pot shots that had gone on back and forth between him and Kanye, you had Kanye leaking his address, Drake clapping back on the trippy Red song Betrayal, saying that Kanye and Pusha T were washed up, but seemingly unable to let this beef die even after dropping his album, Drake took to his radio show on OVO Radio on Apple Music and ended up leaking an unreleased Kanye song. This song was Life of the Party, featuring Andre 3000, a banger of a song that a lot of people were saying ironically was better than anything on Certified Lover Boy and Donda, but the fact that this song was an absolute slap wasn't the most interesting thing about it, because there was a lyric in this song that caught a hell of a lot of people by surprise, okay? Kanye says in this song, about Drake, he says, I thought we were the new Abu Dhabi, which is a reference to a rumored joint album between these two that ended up getting canned. But then Kanye goes on to say, I told Drake don't play with me on GD. Now, if you don't know, on GD, he's referring to the Gangster Disciples, which if you didn't know is a violent street gang that's been running rampant in the streets of Chicago, quite literally for decades. Now, if you want the whole scoop on the entire birth, rise and history of the GDs, the Gangster Disciples, and the BDs, the Black Disciples, that branched off from the original GD Nation, then go and check out my video Gangs of Chicago, the BDs versus the GDs, so that you can get the scoop. This was a crazy moment, alright? Kanye West is the last person that you would expect to be claiming GD. He's meant to be a man of God. He had Jesus as king, he said that he was only making religious music from now on, but Drake has got Kanye West so pressed that he is out here throwing up the pitchforks and claiming GD. But what's really interesting is there's actually more to this than it seems, because Kanye's GD ties actually stretch back far before he had to puff up his little chest for Drake on Donda, but at least Donda gave us a few clues as to what was really going on behind the scenes with Kanye's gang ties. Now, a lot of people were already wondering if Kanye was on some gang shit when he was spotted backstage at one of the early Donda listening parties, wearing a commemorative Donda piece of merch with a 6-point Star of David and a Christian cross in the middle of it. A confusing message, sure, but if you know the fact that the GDs traditionally rep that 6-point Star of David as their logo, then things begin to make a little bit more sense. And not only was the merch that he was wearing with the GD logos a clue, but also who he was wearing it with, because before the album release, Kanye West was spotted backstage recording with a guy called Ruger, who, if you didn't know, not too long before Kanye's Donda was the hottest thing in hip-hop, Ruger was picking up a lot of steam with a little track called the GD Anthem. This track is as GD as it gets. I mean, quite literally. I mean, if you look at the lyrics, that's basically what Ruger's saying. In my opinion, and I don't want to pick sides between the gangs, but this song is an absolute banger, okay? They done led the GDs in the dough. It's super catchy, alright? And it's got lyrics like, Trump shoulda freed Larry, fuck is wrong with dude? Oh, you say you GDK? Fuck is wrong with you? Ruger says he's so GD you can literally see it in his eyes. And not only did Kanye have Ruger backstage and apparently had him working on music for the album, but at the third listening party in Chicago, Kanye West brought out Ruger to perform the goddamn GD Anthem in front of a stadium full of people. Look, look at him, he literally has let the GDs through the door. That's the door right there. See that door? That's the door he let the GDs through. All the GDs in this building. Apparently, to make things even worse, after he had Ruger out to perform the GD Anthem, he let the GDs in the door, and then immediately afterwards, apparently he let the BDs in the door. Because Lil Durk was featured on the album with his song being played at that listening party after Ruger's GD Anthem. And hell, let's not even forget that Fabio Foreign from New York is a New York Crip who have been known historically to beef with GDs from New York, a whole different set of GDs that were let through the door at Kanye's party. So Kanye is literally out here putting ops in front of other ops. I thought you were a man of God, Kanye. Anywho, there's even more to Kanye's gang ties, because on the track Jesus Lord, which apparently had ghostwriting from Ruger himself. Towards the end of the song, we actually hear an extended monologue with the son of Larry Hoover, who, if you didn't know, was the founder of the GDs. You see, Larry Hoover has been incarcerated for just the longest time. I mean, how long has he been incarcerated? He was sentenced to a whopping 150 to 200 years for a murder in 1973. And if you think that was a bad enough sentence, he was then given a life sentence for allegedly running the Gangster Disciples operation from behind the wall whilst he was in prison. And as a result, he was moved to probably the most secure and frankly screwed up prison in America, the Supermax security prison, the ADX Florence. This is a Supermax security prison. These are the most secure prisons that the United States has to offer, and incarceration here is only reserved for the most dangerous and untrustworthy criminals in the criminal justice system. The ADX Florence houses male inmates in the federal prison system deemed the most dangerous and in need of the tightest control, including prisoners whose escape would pose a serious threat to national security. All you're going to find in the cells at this prison is a desk, a stool, and a bed which are almost entirely made out of poured concrete, and a toilet that shuts itself off if it's blocked, a shower that runs on a timer to prevent flooding or any other funny business, and a sink that doesn't even have a tap because it might potentially be dangerous. And as far as natural sunlight, all you're going to be getting is a 4-inch wide and 4-foot tall window, which are specifically designed to prevent inmates from working out their specific location within the complex. Inmates are only allowed to exercise in a concrete pit resembling an empty swimming pool, which is also designed to prevent them from knowing their exact location in the facility once again. This exercise pit is only big enough for a prisoner to walk 10 steps in a straight line or 31 steps in a circle. Correctional officers deliver food to the cells, and inmates are monitored 24 hours a day. I mean, just look at the cell. I mean, that's just screwed up. And these are the conditions that Larry Hoover has been facing for over 20 years now. So at the end of that song, Jesus Lord, which fellow GD Ruger co-wrote with Kanye West, we hear from the son of Larry Hoover Jr., who uses this opportunity to explain the pain that him and his family have gone through fighting for their father's freedom after over 25 years of lockdown. And Larry Hoover Jr. isn't on Kanye's album because he's suddenly clicked up with the GDs to get protection from Drake and his mob-tied Toronto goons. No, Larry Hoover Jr. is actually on the album to thank Kanye for the work that he was putting in for the GDs a couple of years before. Because if you didn't know, during the period when Kanye was losing his mind running around with Donald Trump and rocking a MAGA hat, he was doing it on behalf of Larry Hoover. Because during his infamous in-person meeting with Donald Trump himself, a big part of the reason that Kanye was even there in the first place was to lobby for the freedom of Larry Hoover, the founder of the GDs. Hell, Kanye was so serious about freeing Larry Hoover around this time that he even went on to appear on Saturday Night Live wearing a MAGA hat and a Free Hoover shirt, which all the way back in 2018 had people pondering on Twitter, is Kanye a GD? So, what did Kanye West say to Donald Trump about Larry Hoover? Well, apparently during that meeting with Donald Trump, Kanye West said,
"Yeah, we have Larry Hoover's lawyer with us today, and it's a prisoner that we're focused on. He has 6 life sentences, and they have him next to the Unabomber doing 23 and 1.
What did he do, Larry? What happened?
So look, we can see Kanye West is literally here in front of Donald Trump, and he's saying, look, I brought Larry Hoover's lawyer with me today. Larry's got 6 life sentences, and he's doing 23 hours in a cell, only 1 hour for exercise, and we're trying to get him free. Now, it seems like Trump doesn't even know who Larry Hoover is.
What did he do?
Why is he in?
Yes, tell me. Tell us the story.
Allegedly, it's for conspiracy from prison, from state prison. It's alleged. But we do believe, even if he did commit those crimes, the sentence was overly broad.
What was the sentence?
6 consecutive life sentences in the most secure prison in the world, also known as the clean version of hell.
So, Larry Hoover's lawyer is explaining to Donald Trump that Larry Hoover got 6 life sentences for running the GDs, allegedly, from behind the wall. I think he was convicted, so it's kind of tough to say allegedly on that one. And he calls the Supermax prison that Larry is being held in as the clean version of hell.
What prison is that? Name of the prison?
ADX Supermax in Florence, Colorado. They house the Unabomber, Al-Qaeda operatives, mass killers, Oklahoma City bomber, things.
They're saying that Larry Hoover, for running the GDs, is being incarcerated with terrorists, the Unabomber, and mass murderers. Is that really deserved for what he did?
How old?
68.
68 years old?
Yeah, 68 years old.
And really the reason why they imprisoned him is because he started doing positive for the community. He started showing that he actually had power, that he wasn't just one of a monolithic voice, but he could wrap people around. So there's theories that There's infinite amounts of universe and there's alternate universe.
See, it's unfortunate here because Kanye kind of lost the thread of what was going on. He basically said that the reason why Larry Hoover was incarcerated was because the authorities realized that he was actually trying to do positive things and empower his community and his followers to do better. This was quite a good point, and it's a shame that he kind of went off on a tangent about multiple universes here, but there's a lot of truth to what Kanye's saying.
So it's very important for me to get Hoover out because in an alternate universe, I am him. And I have to go and get him free because he was doing positive inside of Chicago, just like how I'm moving back to Chicago. And it's not just about, you know, getting on stage and being an entertainer and having a monolithic voice that's forced to be a specific party. You know, people expect that if you're black, you have to be Democrat.
So he kind of goes off on a tangent, but Kanye is kind of rightfully saying Larry Hoover could have been him. I mean, I don't know how much he was gangbanging GD back in the day, back in these streets of Chicago, but what he's really saying is that, you know, young black man who is empowering people that are following him to do better in their lives. Larry Hoover and Kanye West, they're in some ways, they're cut from the same cloth. But thankfully, there is actually some other information out there that kind of elaborates on what Kanye was really trying to say about Larry Hoover trying to empower people outside of the gangbanging to improve themselves. Because it's been said that in the late stages of his career and life as, you know, the senior figure in the GDs, that Larry Hoover had actually tried to rebrand and refocus the organization, allegedly changing the meaning of GD from gangster disciples to growth and development. With it being suggested that he was trying to reform the organization as a non-profit and encouraging his disciples to get educated. Now, some in the authorities may say that this was all an act for him to try and get free back on the streets running in the dope game. But hell, if Larry Hoover Jr.'s words on Kanye's album are anything to go by, Larry Hoover has not called any shots from one of the most secure and segregated prisons in the world, and he will not call any shots once released, with Larry Hoover Jr. going on to say that if his father's intentions were to lead his family and his followers to death, destruction, and into hell, then his father would be dead to him because he didn't sign up for that. And I would kind of like to believe that too. Hell, who could imagine a world where Larry Hoover was released from prison and actually put his money where his mouth is, becoming an advocate for change in his community, refocusing the GDs as a genuine organization that's focused on growth and development rather than gang banging, and told the next generation of disciples not to be gangsters, but to be good, hardworking assets to their community, bringing about real change. Hell, if anything, I would love to see Biden free Larry, man. Fuck is wrong with dude. But really, that's the story of Kanye West's gangster disciple connections. That's why he's running around claiming GD, and that's why Ye done let the GDs in the door. Hopefully, Kanye isn't just paying lip service to the GDs because he's scared of Drake, but who knows, if Kanye, Larry Hoover Jr. and the rest of the community keep pushing for Larry Hoover's release, one day we might see him free, just like Lil Durk's father ended up being free after being given a life sentence too. So who knows, maybe one day we'll see that. Did you like this video? Let me know down in the comments. Second channel, we're doing, you know, I haven't uploaded here too much recently. I'm just trying to work it all out, guys, you know what I mean? If you got ideas of things that I should be posting here, types of videos, let me know down in the comments. Drop me a like, drop me a sub. Shout out to all of the patrons whose names you see on screen right now. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna have something exciting coming for the patrons soon. And yeah, you know what I mean? Second channel gang, trap more gang. Appreciate you. Peace.